Okay. Good morning. I'm Nancy Pereira. I'm the associate principal. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Ms. Davis wasn't able to be here today. And so last night we were supposed to have our freshman, sophomore parent information meeting. And just because of all the traffic, wow, that was nice. Yeah, we'll call it electricity traffic. Um, we went ahead and canceled because we just didn't know who was going to have power or not. And we just figured it would be better to reschedule that. Um, However, we still have our counselors here today to share some important information. So that way you can get that information already, and maybe you have some questions already that that we can answer through this presentation. Okay, so today we have with you Margaret Iseed and Jennifer Miller Cody. These are our two counselors. I'll let them introduce themselves. Now, Margaret, go ahead.
You're muted.
Did I mute you?
There we go. Good morning. I'm Miss Miller Cody, and I work with students' last names A through DR. Do you want to introduce Margaret?
Hi, everyone. I'm Margaret Iseed, and I work with students' last names Nguyen, first name K, all the way through students with the last name SH.
So I think we're just gonna kind of go over some of the more like the highlights, I guess, if you will, of kind of our presentation that we were going to do last night. We will do a full presentation and record it, and then make sure to get that out to families as well. Just with everything that kind of happened last night, we just need a little bit of time to do that. But again, like, we'll give you the highlights. And I know we introduced ourselves, but I just want to make sure that you have a face with the names for the other counselors. So we have 5 counselors here at Piedmont Hills. We have Ms. Shoopman. She works with students last names DU through LE, first name K. And then we have Miss Nguyen, who is pictured there, who works with the last names LE, L through Nguyen J. And then we also have Miss Ortiz Fonseca, and she works with students' last names SI through Z. And so your student would, if they have any questions academically or about post-secondary kinds of questions or career questions, they can come and talk with their counselors, and we're available for students during break, lunch, or after school typically, and then occasionally by appointment if necessary. Okay, and I'm sure you've had, hopefully by now you have become accustomed or acquainted with our dashboard, our ARMS dashboard. This is where parents can log in. Students have a similar feature as well. Parents are able to log in and look at their students' grades, look at calendar items, things like that. Students see a viewpoint that looks more like this. They have lots of different apps that they can access for all their different classes. So if you haven't become familiar with the ARMS dashboard yet, again, the parent view is very minimal. You might see like maybe 3 of these icons or 4 of these icons, but this is where you would be able to access things like Canvas or Infinite Campus, etc. So that leads me to being able to monitor grades and assignments for parents is, we're transitioning this year. So right now, this year, we're moving toward using Canvas for a way to monitor, like grades, like current grades and assignments and things. But while we are getting, teachers and staff kind of more acquainted with Canvas, you will find that some of the teachers are using Infinite Campus to post grades. So we do have instructions here for both, but your son or daughter or your student might have some teachers who are using Canvas, and they'll have assignments and grades and everything posted there. And while other teachers might be using Infinite Campus to post grades. And then you also might have some teachers who are using Google Classroom for the assignments. And so the best thing to do is to kind of look at the different instructions here if you haven't done so, or if you haven't received any communication on how to do that. We do have our parent community involvement specialist who can help out parents with that. And then for Google Classroom, the best thing to do is to have your student share their access with you. It's probably the easiest thing to do because that'll show you like any sorts of assignments and things that teachers who are using Google Classroom would have posted. And then as a parent, if you are concerned about your students' grades, there are several things we can do. I guess, first of all, we would recommend that your student try these different tips for academic success. And this presentation, like I said, will be shared later. And within this presentation are links. So for example, you'd be able to click on this informational little sheet, but it has different tips on what students can do to work on better grades. And some of the resources for them as well. If they have tried all those different things that are listed on the tips for academic success, you can also encourage your student to talk to their teacher, to email their teacher. If their teacher's offering any sort of additional support sessions, then that would be something to encourage as well. And the benefits of a student communicating with their teacher is that the student's going to have a clear understanding of the material, but they're also going to build their self-advocacy skills and their communication skills. And those are skills that are important, not just to get the information that they need in high school, but for life beyond high school as well. So in college or university or in their career, we have to be able to communicate as well. And then if all those things are not working, but what parents can also do to help support their student is, if need be, they can email the teacher directly to get more information about how things are going or what the teachers may be seeing in the class for your student. Attending meetings like this is a great thing as well, or back to school night like we had last week. Try to provide an area within their home that's distraction free so students can get their work done. Just making sure the students are getting enough sleep, things like that. So there's a lot of different things we can do. So speaking of grades, our different grading periods are outlined here. So we have one actually coming up pretty quickly. Our first marking period ends on September 16th. And then at that point, report cards will be sent home. The next marking period is November 4th. And then the third marking period is December 23rd, which also marks the end of the first semester. The end of the first semester, that final grade is the grade that goes on a student's transcript. That is a grade that is a final grade. So right now, the first and second marking period, those are like kind of progress reports to show how students are doing. But that third marking period is the final one for the semester, and then that'll go on their transcript. Similarly, second semester, the fourth marking that we start second semester in January when we come back from holiday break, and that starts right away. And then February 17th is the fourth marking period. April 7th is the fifth, and then the sixth marking period ends on June 1st. And again, that final June 1st, sixth marking period, that delineates the end of second semester, and that final grade will also go in the transcript. The grade that a student earns at the end of the semester, so a grade of A, B, C, or D does earn their credits. So a grade of D, a student does pass with a grade of D. However, that grade would not be helpful for if they want to go on to a four-year college. So speaking of credits, we have our Eastside Union High School District graduation requirements outlined here. So for a student to graduate from our district, you can see here the number of years and or credits that a student needs to earn. So in the area of English, students need to earn 40 credits of English. And so they'll take an English class each year. For social sciences, students need 30 credits of social sciences. Specifically, they have to earn 10 of world history, 10 of US history, 5 of American government, and 5 credits of economics. So that's our total of 30. In the area of math, students need to earn 20 credits. So that has to be like 2 different math courses. So if a student, some students come into 9th grade taking math 2, and then they move on to math 3. But they have to have 20 credits of math at 2 different levels. For science, students need to earn 20 credits. 10 of those credits need to be a biological science, which all 9th graders take biology. And then 10 credits need to be a physical science, and all 10th graders take chemistry. So there are, and then plus we have additional science courses as well that students can take throughout high school. In the area of fine art or world language, students need to earn 10 credits. So it's an either or kind of situation. So a student could take a Spanish class to earn those credits. They could take construction technology. They could take an art course, choir, etc. So there's a lot of different ways that they can meet or fulfill that requirement. For PE, students need to earn 20 credits of PE. So they take PE 1 in 9th grade and then take PE 2 in 10th grade. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And then for electives, so after you total up all the other like core areas like English, social science, math, science, fine arts, etc., they have whatever the remaining amount of credits are. Students can just take additional courses. So that could be like they take extra math courses, they could take extra, they could take an art course and world languages, they could take extra science courses, etc. So the total would be 220 credits. And like I said before, the minimum passing grade to earn credit is a D minus. However, a C is often required if a student wants to move to the next level of a course and to meet A through G college entrance requirements. So if a student, for example, if they earn a grade of D in math 2, we would advise that they actually retake that course to strengthen their foundation before moving on to math 3. So it's just for example. In addition to the graduation requirements, we have the A through G requirements, and we cover this information with students all the time, like several times throughout the year. In fact, we already talked with our 9th graders and 10th graders, so they should hopefully already know this, but the A through G requirements are also like our college admission requirements in California. And they, in some ways, are aligned with our graduation requirements, but there are a few areas where things are different. So the A through G requirements, students have to have 4 years of English, which is on par with our graduation requirement. Social sciences, students are required to have 2 years for A through G requirements. But however, for graduation in our district, they need 3. For math, students need to have 3 years of math. So math, it could be math 1, 2, and 3. It could be students coming in, at a level 2 math and taking additional. So they have to have 3 years of math. And in fact, some schools would recommend that students have 4 years of math. For science, students need to have 2 years of science for A through G requirements. And one is typically a biological science and one's typically a physical science. And similar to math, 3 years are recommended for some schools. For visual, here's where things get a little bit different. For visual performing arts, students need to have 1 year of a visual performing art, and they also need to have 2 years of a world language. In fact, some schools, our more competitive schools, are looking for students to have 3 or more years of a world language. So this is where things are a little different than our graduation requirements. Students have to have both of these areas, the visual performing art and the world language. And then in addition to that, a college prep elective, and that can be a number of different courses. If a student takes additional science beyond the required amount of science, that could be their college prep elective. There's a lot of ways they can fulfill that. So the other difference between our graduation requirements and college A through G requirements is that students also need to have a grade of C or higher in their courses. So whereas for graduation, students can have a grade of D minus and still earn their credits to graduate, for college, they need to have a C or higher. And then over here, we also have outlined the minimum GPA that's required for the CSU system and the minimum GPA required for the UC system. And that's just the GPA. They also look at other things as well. Am I still going, Margaret? Or do you?
I can take over.
Okay.
All right. So in addition to our, many of your students at this time may not necessarily be taking an AP course, but we did just want to give some information for future planning. So an AP course is an advanced placement course, which is essentially taking a college level course at the high school level. And some of these colleges are encouraging students to enroll in some of these AP courses, depending on what your students' interests are. What an AP course can do for a student, it actually gives them a boost in their GPA. So for example, if a student receives an A in an AP course, it would give them 5 points towards their GPA rather than the standard 4. If a student passes an AP exam, which is essentially an exam that they take at the end of the school year in May after completing an AP course, they could earn college credit for that particular subject if they pass that exam. It is really important when having these discussions with your student, and when we have discussions with your student in selecting courses, that students kind of are aware of their limits and not taking on too many AP or honors courses at the same time. So there will be additional information specific to AP classes in January, where we do discuss at length the AP courses that are offered, more information about them, and how to hopefully help your student not enroll in too many at a time, but enroll in like a good course load. Thank you. And then in considering or thinking about college eligibility, we do want to just give information about what it means to be eligible for a four-year college versus being competitive. So I know some of the GPAs that were listed earlier that would meet minimum eligibility when it comes to college enrollment or college application time. However, competitive means that you are taking more than the minimum, have perhaps a higher GPA than what that minimum requirement is. And also looking into your coursework that you complete as a student in comparison to other students at the school. So realistically, some students may take the minimum requirements versus some that may take additional. So just looking at that, that's kind of what the difference between being eligible by meeting the minimum requirements for a particular institution versus being competitive means. And we did just want to give you all some information. We spoke to all of the 9th and 10th graders last week in a presentation in the library. So on August 29th, that was last Monday, all of our 9th graders did come in during their science class and met with the counselors. And we actually completed a learning and productivity assessment in Naviance. And Naviance is our college and career readiness tool that we use. All students have access in the ARMS system, and they can utilize this at any point and learn more about themselves. So our students were able to take a look at assessment results. We went over that with them, gave them more information, how they can really kind of understand how they learn. And hopefully that can kind of help them to apply those practices in not only school, but in other areas of their life. Our 10th graders completed a career assessment and basically were able to take a look at what their personality style is and then match that to different careers and majors that are available within that realm. So many of them should have been able to, and hopefully they talked to you about this, but many of them were able to kind of take a look at where their strengths were and then essentially match that to some careers or majors that were available. And I did hear many of them talking afterwards, and they were kind of excited to learn about themselves and careers that may potentially match some of their interests. So I thought that was hopefully helpful. And really the goal of all of these activities is to help students kind of determine what classes would work best for them here, and then potentially look into alternate like majors and basically their time beyond high school. And just to give everyone like a timeline of what the remainder of the year looks like in terms of some of our meetings that we have with students and in selecting courses. So in January, our freshmen will also take a personality assessment. Hopefully that will help them learn a little bit more about some career paths, majors, and then in turn help them select their courses for the next school year. Sophomores will also revisit that career assessment that we just completed with them last week, and we will meet with their counselor to basically go over again the graduation and college requirements and our course offerings specific to each subject area. We also then create a four-year plan. This is something that students will have access to in Infinite Campus, and it's something that we will update. So for the current 10th graders, this is something we did last year as well. So they do have access to take a look at our four-year plan, and we will be updating that in January. So in February and March, oh, sorry about that, everybody. In February and March, we will then like confirm all of the courses that your students selected. We will also then, as I mentioned, have that AP course evening where final AP decisions can be made after this event. And in May, your student will essentially receive like what their requested course selections were, and that will essentially complete our course planning process for the following school year. So hopefully this guide will kind of help you in determining our 4-year plan process, because all students will be completing that in the spring with their counselor individually. And a few upcoming events just to mark your calendars. As you know, you're all here. Today was the Zoom with the principal. There are some upcoming events regarding college fairs. So there's some really good ones through NACAC, and those are also virtual. They have many colleges that attend these events, and they're all available for students for free. And again, you will receive these slides. So these are all clickable links, and there's one starting this Sunday. There's also the Eastside Union High School College Night, and that is in person on September 19th at Independence High School. The link is also going to be here. And any of our presentations that we've done with students and with families will be posted on the link that you see there. So all of the information is on the counseling website, which is available on the Piedmont Hills High School site as well. And I think that's all we got. Unless there's questions.
Yeah, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. I've been answering them as I've seen them come through. So hopefully I've done a good job there, but feel free to post any questions in the chat box so that we could answer them out loud as well. There were some questions about AP testing. So AP testing does start. So let me try that again. AP classes start pretty much in the sophomore year, but it does depend on the student's level in mostly math and other language classes. So some of our students may be coming with a second language background already, depending on what happened in their middle school, or maybe their language at home, or what they did before they came to high school. So some of those students might be able to take AP exams, but those are end of course exams. And sophomore year opens up a little bit with world history, and then junior and senior year, students have way more options with English and social studies, and their electives with psychology. So there's a lot of different courses, and we can get into that a little bit more in that January presentation. As far as AP test registration, I'll be starting those on Monday. So some students might want to self-teach in that area. So I'll have a separate informational meeting for students for that, because it's a different process a little bit to register. Is a college night available for freshmen too? Well, you guys are putting questions in quickly. I can't read that fast. Yeah, the college nights are available to everybody. And I honestly, I was just thinking, I'm like, yeah, it's probably a good idea to start getting them thinking about it, because I don't know how many of you are first-time high school parents, but it just goes by so quickly that before you know it, you have a junior, senior on your hands, and you're like, where did the time go? So I would say, yeah, start attending those fairs with them to get them a little bit excited about knowing what's out there as far as different universities in California and beyond California as well. I think I answered that. Can parents get to meet the counselors? We don't really have, I mean, if a parent wants to schedule a meeting, they could schedule a meeting. We really don't, I mean, that's not such a common thing. Usually it's if there's a problem or something, but yeah, you could always reach out to your counselors if you have a concern and schedule something with them.
And we'll have other presentations throughout the year, like evening presentations for families as well. Yeah,
every month we pretty much have presentations happening. So can you please let me know where the ways, okay, someone was asking about the art requirement. So I don't know if that was the same person who asked me about that earlier, but so for our graduation requirements, you have the either or, the second language or the art to fulfill the graduation requirements, but for college, you need both. So yeah, we have, when students pick their classes, the counselor works with them to show them which classes fulfill the art requirement, but there are many. There are several. So I'm trying to think of if there's an easy way for parents to see it.
Probably on like the different courses that we offer.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a very, so you think just the obvious would be performing arts or visual arts, such as photo or art or advanced art, but there's piano, there's guitar. We have there's so many different classes that could fit that requirement.
Probably our course catalog, Nancy, would be the easiest.
Yeah, I guess we could post that online if it's not there, our course catalog.
Yeah, it is.
So someone is asking, yeah, if students, I mean, ideally we want to see our students continue with an elective so that they're developing that skill. So that is certainly true with art. So if some of our students are really talented in art, there is a course sequencing for art. They could do the arts one, the sculpture, and or the advanced art in that order. That's the best way to do that. Okay, is AP Stat counted as math? Yeah, AP Statistics is a math class. Yeah, good questions.
I think somebody asked if AP courses are offered by our school during the summertime. And no, we typically don't offer AP courses over the summertime.
Yeah, no. I typed that one too then.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It's, when I respond, you guys can't see it. I don't know. I'm just checking through. Okay. Other questions that people have? Chem and history course taken in the summer. Oh, no. Most of our usually summer school for us is credit recovery. So for students who may have failed a class. So that's usually what the funding is for. Sometimes we offer math for enrichment as well. But it just depends, and we won't really know what summer school offerings will be until about February. It just has to do with how the budget is allocated around that time. So yeah, so we don't really offer history in the summer. We did this year, which was kind of because it was a unique situation in the sense that we were wanting, because of our change of bell schedule, some of our kids who are in electives would have had to take a 7-period day. And so to avoid that, we were able to offer history this summer for sophomores because they had so many classes to take in the sophomore year.
There was a question here about whether or not students can take an AP language course as a freshman.
It depends on their level.
What was it, Nancy?
It depends on their level.
Yeah, it depends on level.
Yeah.
And if go ahead.
Yeah, where we would probably see that mostly for our students would be in Chinese, but by that time that class is usually full because our current, like the 12th graders and the 11th graders and 10th graders probably have filled that spot.
And just so you know, if they were to go into an AP language, for example, that would be the equivalent of 4 years of a language. Now, they don't necessarily get 4 years of credit, but colleges and universities would recognize that as a student having achieved a 4th year.
That's for CSU and UC or privates also?
I would believe privates also, I would think. But for sure, UCs and CSUs.
I like this question. Is June 1st the last day of school? Yes! And it's far away. Yeah, so we start early and we end early. So that's the beauty of that. Okay, so plan your vacations after June 1st. Alrighty, any other questions?
And we will be doing like a longer version of the presentation and recording it, I believe, right, Margaret? I think we decided.
Yeah.
And then posting that for families. So.
Alrighty, well, thank you for coming. If there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and end the meeting. And Ms. Davis will be back next week. And I think counseling's on next week again, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Few questions that just rolled in.
Oh, my kid. Wait.
Do you want me to answer those quick?
Yeah, I don't really remember it being that combo though. I have to remember. I should know
that. So there's a question, just a quick question here. Well, I guess we'll answer that. If you take Chinese 3, that would be the equivalent of 2. Yes, they would read the 2-year requirement. If a student goes in, if they go right into a Chinese 3 as a 9th grade student and they get a C or higher, they would have fulfilled that requirement for A through G requirements. A college or university, a CSU or a UC would recognize that as having completed, a 3rd year, like a 3rd level. So they would recognize that as 3 years.
Yeah, so I think I need to address something in there specific. Sometimes with our language classes, we have to offer our classes at capacity. So meaning, let's pretend we have 60 kids who need an AP Chinese class. We're going to want to offer that. And we know we could fill it because we have more kids taking Chinese 3 as an example. So we might have 2 sections of Chinese 3 then. So because we're able to combo the class that way. So we do that so that we offer the advanced levels, but and we're getting, you know, and our Chinese program at our school is very strong. So there's not an issue of are they getting all the content? And they are. And Ms. Shea's a wonderful teacher, and our AP scores are phenomenal in Chinese as well. So it's working when we have to do that, but I don't think it's usually a few kids. It's not a lot though, because we're just doing it so that we get more kids in the program. It's a very popular program here at our school. Is there going to be a makeup class? Oh yeah. Is there going to be a makeup? No, well, yesterday's outage, because it was so late in the school day, I don't think we will need to make that up. However, if we continue to have outages in the week, that might be a concern, I think. Because the heat, I don't think is going to get any. It'll be a little bit cooler today, but hopefully it'll be enough to sustain the system. The students get Chinese 3K, so the students can take other classes other than those. Yeah. No. To be A to G eligible, you do need 2 years of a world language, of a second language. So you do need those 2 years. Sometimes students are in the AP level, then that counts as more years of credit. That's not the majority, that's a smaller percentage. Did I answer that? Cody, you look like you want to say that differently.
I guess the easiest way to describe it really is like if a student were to come in, like if they were able to come in as a 9th grade student and take like Chinese 2, for example, and they get a C or higher, they would have fulfilled the A through G requirements for language. That would be considered 2 years of a language, even if they only took 1 year of it, but came in at a level 2 and got a C or higher. I don't know if that confuses things more or not, but.
So it's level more than.
Level, yeah. The CSUs and UCs are looking at level, the level a student did.
But then we wouldn't give 20 credits, if that makes sense. So hopefully your student has completed, like the 220 still is the expectation for the total number of credits. So they would get the 10 credits for that class, but then they would still need to fulfill credits otherwise. Hopefully I think that's what they're trying to ask. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And as far as community college classes, students usually take those for enrichment. We don't normally put those on the transcripts. We do put math classes on the transcripts because students are advancing. So we want to show that they've completed the prerequisite basically for that class. So that's the only time that we put community college classes on transcripts.
And that would also go for, there's a question above about outside math courses. If a student takes a math course in an approved program, we would also put that on our transcript, again, to show that pathway, like that they met a prerequisite for another math course.
To go to the next level. Mm-hmm. If they're not going to the next level, then we don't even put it on the transcript because there isn't any reason to at that point. And again, just to kind of remind you or let you know that we do have other presentations later in the year that deal with summer school and community college and all those things, because we get in the weeds with that. There's a lot of different nuances within that. I don't think you can see transcripts on Canvas. I was playing with that yesterday. We can, Margaret?
She said, is it on Canvas? And I'm saying no, but I thought it was on Infinite Campus.
It is on Infinite Campus, yes. You can see that on Infinite Campus. Their grad inventory. I think we sent a video out on how to do that. If we haven't, we'll resend something out on that. We did it last year, I remember. Yeah. Can we take AB Calculus outside during the summer? So we don't offer, AP Calculus for our advanced math classes. So again, most AP classes are offered during the school year at places. So I'm not sure where one would take an AP Calculus outside of school. So we would probably have to know more information about that to answer that properly. And we don't recommend taking higher level math classes at the community college because their curriculum isn't necessarily aligned with the AP curriculum. So for example, if someone were to take a calculus class at a community college and then they wanted to take, let's say, BC here, the curriculum doesn't necessarily align. So sometimes our students struggle. So we usually advocate against that, for that side. But those are usually individual conversations that we need to have based on the student. Alrighty. Okay, well, I think we're good here. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Stay cool. I don't use all the power so we can have school today. I'm just kidding. Drink water, stay cool, and thank you again for coming. And we'll send this recording out as well. Alrighty? Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.